All right, guys. On Monday, Chelsea Football Club announced what we have known, admittedly, and that's Enzo Maresca has joined as head coach for a contract of 5 years, plus an additional year if he really kills it. And we have won a few trophies along the way, I'm sure. Lauren Stewart and Paul Winstanley, Chelsea's co-sporting directors, said, "We are delighted to welcome Enzo to Chelsea. He's proven himself to be an excellent coach, capable of delivering impressive results with an exciting and identifiable style." So style being a couple of keywords there. Enzo has deeply impressed us in our discussions leading up to his appointment. His ambitions and work ethic align with those of the club. We look forward to working with him. The ownership group at large said, "We are thrilled to welcome Enzo into the Chelsea family. We look forward to supporting him and the rest of the sporting team and fulfilling their potential and our expectations over the years to come." Clarity there would just be tremendous if you guys don't mind. He is a highly gifted coach and leader that we are confident can help fulfill our vision and competitive goals for the club. Enzo himself, first time we've heard from him. To join Chelsea, one of the biggest clubs in the world, is a dream for any coach. It is why I am so excited by this opportunity. I look forward to working with a very talented group of players and staff to develop a team that continues the club's tradition of success and makes our fans proud. So, look, those are the comments from the announcement. Obviously, he is going to be here for a while or until a buyout is reached in any event. So just wanted to quickly go through that and then also talk about the 8 coaches that are going to be a part of his staff, including, but not limited to, Willie Caballero as an assistant manager. Welcome back, old friend, to Chelsea Football Club. It's been too long. Danny Walker as an assistant coach, Dave Bernardine as goalkeeper coach. So he is one of 2 goalkeeper coaches alongside Ben Roberts, who is also the head of global goalkeeping. We have Marcos Alvarez as a fitness coach. We know that is so critical at Chelsea Football Club. With all of the injuries, we really need to manage our players' fitness much better this season than we did last season. Bernardo Cueva, the long-awaited set-piece coach coming over from Brentford, who is hopefully going to help us become much more competent at set pieces. Javier Molina Caballero is the analyst, and then Robert Vitello is the development coach. And I think that's going to be a really critical role as you look to make that bridge from Cobham back to the first team again, make that so much more real, and bring all those talented youngsters who are really, really good, although not South American, over to the other side of Cobham. So if you've been there, it's just one building over here and the first team building over here. We want them coming over that way. So let us know in the comments if you're excited for any one of these particular coaches. If you're worried about this staff, I would love to see what's going on there because, look, admittedly, it's a pretty big staff compared to what Mauricio Pochettino had or Thomas Tuchel had. So, let us know in the comments. All right, from a tactical perspective, there's a hell of a lot going on here, and I could not encourage you to go listen to the Monday podcast, the CFC Central Tactical Explosive Special that he and Dan put on to go through all of the different ruminations and tactics and things that Enzo Maresca might do at Chelsea. And I'm taking some of that knowledge, I'm mixing it with some of the other analysis that has been put out on Enzo Maresca's Leicester team, and just want to give a brief overview of what you could look to expect from an Enzo Maresca team. There's obviously going to be a massive sea change within this group from a style of play perspective. We know that this is a highly dominant possession-based team. He has said multiple times to Leicester fans during their championship-winning team that his teams do not counterattack. They don't play that open. They want control, and they want to score goals in a really attractive, methodical style. Obviously, there have been comparisons along the way to coaches like Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta and others that focus on this style, who maybe come from Pep's coaching tree, as it were. And so that's just something that we're going to have to get used to. Mauricio Pochettino's Chelsea was a little bit more high energy, was a little bit more explosive, played on the counter, played with different styles. That frustrated us at times, right? Like, it wasn't always a clear progression as to how the team was going to play, but we knew it was going to be exciting. And Chelsea did score a heck of a lot of goals, some of them in very exciting style. This is going to be much more thorough, methodical, considered, and will require precision. I think if you've ever watched Pep Guardiola's Man City or Arsenal, the passes, the precision at which you got to play, the precision at which you got to break against the opposition, the precision at which you have to assume your defensive duties and press. And that does come with risk, right? That doesn't leave a ton of margin for error. And so the preseason could not be more important for this team. We're going to have very few players missing for the Euros and for the Olympics. We'll have a few, but not all. You hope that the players who are a part of preseason are able to adapt this style. Clearly, if you listen to the Sam special, you know that Maresca favors a 4-3-3 going forward and really puts a lot of emphasis on the eights to get forward and combine with the wingers and the striker to do a really solid job there. Whereas he hopes to have more of an imbalanced formation at the back in attack, where a fullback will play inverted, the center back next to that fullback will spray out wide, kind of forming a three at the back. And then you'll see that player assume one of the vacated positions that the eight who's left was in. So you have cover at the back, you have five at the back, you have five attacking essentially. And he does a lot of different types of pressures, right? He'll do a half press. He'll do a one player leads a press as a trigger. He'll do a man-to-man press, which is pretty frightening. If you read Sam's newsletter at the London is Blue Dispatch, the man press, the sort of crazy press that Leeds used to do doesn't always work in the Premier League. And so there's going to be a lot of interesting learnings from preseason, how he wants this team to play, how fit they have to be to play this more considered style, but also be able to defend against counterattacks. That was a bit of a weakness for Leicester last season, even though they conceded a championship low 41 goals, which is great. They did suffer on the counter sometimes, where the press didn't exactly come together in the way that he would have hoped for. And so there's a lot to dive into with him as a tactical manager. Whilst I am not the most tactically astute person in the world, I do all right. Go listen to the CFC Central special. It is truly excellent. Cannot emphasize that enough. I do have a few questions, though, and I would love to see in the comments if you have any thoughts or answers to this for the tacticos out there. One of the things that Sam brought up in his special, and I think this is going to be a critical part for Maresca to consider as he gets into preseason, is whether he moves forward with that kind of rigid 4-3-3 with the 2 8s that bomb forward, the 6 that holds back, and the inverted fullback that comes into midfield with the 3 at the back, or if he adapts to the personnel that we have, which is much more in the model of a 4-2-3-1, right? Where you have a number 10, kind of a clearly defined number 10. You have a striker. You have 2 kind of tucked in wingers, maybe not as wide as the 4-3-3. And then you have 2 holding midfielders and your back 4. So I'm really intrigued to see if he will adapt his style to the players that we have, or if he will force fit the players we have into that 4-3-3. That is a critical component to what he's going to do in preseason. Because if you watch the way that his team presses out of possession and you watch the defensive responsibilities that the wingers and the 8s have, it would really be difficult to see Nkunku as an 8 or Palmer as an 8, where they have so much of a heavy defensive responsibility moving forward. And if you can only see them out on the wings, that means essentially Caicedo, Enzo, and right now Conor Gallagher would be the players to fulfill the 3 in midfield, the players who are a little bit more defensively astute, who understand pressing schemes, and who are just frankly better at tackling and things like that. So depends on how he wants to balance the squad. MT Analysis on Twitter actually has a really good point as it pertains to Palmer. If Palmer plays the left center midfield or number 8, he could be in a situation where he has to defend as a double pivot.
What?
Is that what we want Cole Palmer to do? Or is Cole Palmer better suited as a winger in the system? These are all questions that we have to answer. The final thing that I want to talk about is a little bit about the players. 3 players that Maresca will absolutely love. 3 players who will need to adapt, likely, to fit his style and really prove themselves. And a potential starting lineup for match week 1, which is August 17th, 2024. That is not that far away, folks. So there's a lot of work to do between now and then. 3 players Maresca will love. Without a doubt, the number 1 player on the team sheet is not Cole Palmer. It is Connor Gallagher. Cole Palmer's obviously excellent and will certainly be on the team sheet. Maresca's worked with him before. Joe Shields has connected all these dots together. Palmer will be there. But for the sake of argument, Connor Gallagher as an 8, I just can't believe that there would be a better fit for this system, this high-pressing, aggressive style than Connor Gallagher. I think he's going to be tremendous if he stays this summer. And, I think everyone who has listened to the podcast for long enough knows my feelings about that. So I'll leave that be. I think Connor Gallagher will be an absolute stud for Maresca. I think he will play exactly how he wants them to play. He's incredibly coachable. He's incredibly adaptable. So I think he will be tremendous. That's number 1. Number 2, Levi Colwill. His ability, if Cucurella goes on the inverted path where he gets into midfield to play both left center back and kind of that left in a 3 center back sort of role, in a 2 or a 3, I think could be absolutely outstanding. He's clearly athletic enough to pull that off, as we saw him play at left back for a majority of the first part of last season. I just think his passing ability is also going to really shine in this system. And I think Maresca will find him as a center back such a valuable resource in starting attacks. So Levi Colwill, number 2. And the last one may surprise you. The last one, I think there's a lot of questions about striker right now and where Nicholas Jackson fits into all this. I think with the way that Nicholas Jackson proved his selflessness in large parts of last season, his pressing ability in large parts of last season, and his ability to interchange. Some of his passing is the underrated part of his game, the give and goes and the interchanges with Cole Palmer and Nkunku and Raheem Sterling and Mudryk and all those. I think he's a fascinating option in this lineup. And I think Maresca may not have ever coached a striker like him, but he is a really unique player and someone that could really thrive in this system if I'm reading all the tactico analysis properly. So that might be a little different than what you were thinking of for the 3 players I think he will love. I think the 3 that may struggle, however, and I don't love saying this because I love all of our players. Ben Chilwell. CFC Central called this out on the special. He's just not a system fit for what is going on with Maresca, the inversion, the ability to kind of tuck into midfield. Chilwell's game is wide. He's more of a left wing back than a left back these days. It's getting forward. It's taking the outside lane. It's cutbacks. It's great crosses. It's interchange and getting into the box. That's not really what the system will ask of that position this year. And I fear that his game time might be limited because that's not his perfect skill set. And so more on that and Keeps It Alone coming this week. The second one is Mykhailo Mudryk. I think until we see a better tactical understanding from this player, despite his many physical gifts, which he has in abundance, I don't see him in a starring role for this team. I think left wing is kind of wide open right now, and there may not be a perfect fit within the current squad to take on that role, but I think Mudryk will perhaps struggle with the setup and the passing and the crispness that is entailed in all of Maresca's play. So he's one that might struggle. And then the last one is Disasi. He obviously was available for a majority last season, and I appreciated that so much because the best ability for me is availability. I just don't know if Disasi is going to necessarily have the sort of passing and pressing that it will take to succeed at center back. Someone like Trev, someone like Fofana is probably going to take that right-sided center back role in the 4 and probably has more flexibility to turn that into a 3 as well. So really intrigued by all this as the 3 up, 3 down, if you will. But my starting lineup, just wanted to throw this out there, and this is without any new acquisitions at all. So if Michael Elise signs tomorrow, God willing, then we'll change this. But because Chelsea is apparently looking for a new goalkeeper, despite the briefings on Sanchez and Petrovic, I think there's probably no goalkeeper for the first match of the season. I think they're going to prioritize this. I don't know if it's Ederson or if it's one of the many goalkeepers from Spain that has been rumored, but that's kind of my thought process right now, is that we need someone day one who's going to come in and be comfortable as that kind of sweeper keeper, possession keeper, almost as a center back sort of keeper. That's really where he wants his goalkeepers to be. So that's going to be number one. Gusto, remember Reece is suspended for the first, 3 games of the season. So Gusto will be most likely the starting right back. Fofana, risky one. I think if you listen to Keep Sell Loan, my thoughts on Fofana are perhaps different than many out there, but I really hope he comes back strong and then he's able to play this right-sided center back role. If not, Trev is absolutely more than capable of playing this role. So either one of them will be great. Colwill, of course, on the left side, and Cucurella rounding out the back 4. I have the midfield 3 of Enzo, Caicedo, and Gallagher. Yes, Gallagher stays this summer, hopefully. And then I have the front 3 of Nkunku, Palmer, and Jackson. Now, Sam, CFC Central, said an interesting twist would be throwing Jackson out on the left, Nkunku in the middle, and then obviously keep Cole Palmer on the right. I think that's probably the best way to maximize those 3 in a 4-3-3. I think if you do end up in a situation where you're playing a 4-2-3-1, then those might change a little bit. And that's because you could throw Nkunku in at the 10 and do something a little bit funkier with the way the lineup is set up. Maybe you only have the 2 holding midfielders and you throw Raheem Sterling out on the left, for example, someone who should know the system well. So let me know what you think of those 3 up, 3 down and the starting lineup. I know there will be so much conjecture about this. We're so looking forward to the summer and more content, but this is the first of whatever we're going to call this series for YouTube specifically. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this page. Tell your friends about it, and we will see you next time.